This is News 10 Morning.
Good morning to you. It is Monday. We've made
yes,
it
Monday.
Still cooling off from the weekend.
It was
Could you
warm.
believe that?
It was warm. Even I wanted to almost turn the air on upstairs because it gets hot upstairs in the house. I turned the fan on instead. But good morning to all of you. It's March 16th. I'm Kiba Arnold.
I'm Dan Elliott. We got a hot Melissa Crowley.
It's Monday.
Uh-huh.
I'm psyched.
Yeah.
You're trying it out.
She looks good for being hot.
Well,
and
thank you.
Mr. Rob Carlmark, I was telling Rob, it wasn't you, it was somebody else. I went to a St. Patrick's Day party Saturday afternoon from 2 to 4 in the Curtis Park area. Terrific, at a McNamara house.
Oh, boy. Yes.
It was hot out there.
It was.
Right.
It
You
was
were
a little
sweating.
muggy, too.
Yeah.
Yep, it was hot, it was muggy. I turned on the air conditioning. It was only for 2 hours, but
Just
we
to
needed
cool
it.
it down,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, the wife and the baby were really warm. It was just one of these days that if this happened in April, I would be surprised. The fact that it's happening mid-March is truly remarkable, and unfortunately, we're going to be way above average all week long. We have to wait a long time before we start talking about rain chances, and we will have more on this later, but I just want to point out, unfortunately, Sierra at Tahoe shutting down winter operations until they get a big storm to provide lots of snow, and then they'll open right back up. But right now, Sierra at Tahoe is closing down for the winter. What we're looking at are high temperatures from yesterday. Really warm, a tad cooler in a lot of spots than where we ended up on Saturday, but Modesto broke a high temperature record by 5 degrees. So some of the heat really still hung on all the way through the weekend, especially in Modesto. Breezy conditions up high. We will see some breezy conditions in the valley today, but we're starting off in the 50s. You can see the clear conditions in Sacramento, in Stockton, so fog is not an issue. And today, it's going to be warmer than average, but not record-breaking by any stretch. A mix of sun and clouds, and there is some rain in far northern California today, so we'll talk more about that later on. The high today, 73 degrees. We're going to be right back up to 80 degrees, if not warmer, by the middle to the end of this week. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. Melissa.
Rob, good morning. We'll have more on this all morning long on News 10 Morning, but confirmed fatality accident by CHP, or the Sacramento Police Department, northbound power in at Alpine. So try to avoid that intersection if possible. We'll be getting a live picture shortly. But in the meantime, that area remains closed. Hopefully they plan to reopen some lanes there in the next hour or so. How about the rest of our commute into Sacramento? We're looking pretty good. 5, 99, 50, and 80. Here's how Interstate 5 looks like as you make your way past Richards. It was busy for the St. Patrick's Day parade this weekend. Everything is open and clear. Drive time's our first look for your super commute. Doing very well right now, so our outlook off to a good start above 55 miles per hour. Towards the Bay, same situation, Bay Bridge, and in Stockton Central Valley, waking up to a nice Monday morning, at least on the roads, that is. As always, when you're in your car, News Radio KFBK. We'll keep you posted. Back to you.
All right, thanks. Well, we want to start with the breaking news that Melissa mentioned, and that is a fatal car accident. Sacramento police are investigating what was a car versus bicycle crash. This is a live look at the scene. It's at near Power Inn Road and Alpine Avenue. Police say that northbound Power Inn is closed right now. We don't know exactly what led up to this crash, but we do know that they are on the scene right now. You see the flashing lights. We also understand that it could impact travel in the immediate future, but we don't know how long the roads are going to be closed. So we'll be checking in with in just a few minutes with Irene Cruz. We should have some more information. We'll have it for you right here on News 10 Mornings.
Happening today, the 2 suspects in last July's Stockton bank robbery and shootout are due back in court today. This is a follow-up to a preliminary hearing earlier this month. Jaime Ramos is a surviving suspect from the shootout who allegedly used a hostage as a shield. Pablo Rubalcaba is accused of driving the car that dropped off the robbers. The suspects and a hostage, Misty Holt Singh, were killed.
Hundreds of Stockton teachers are going to be rallying today at Stockton Unified District headquarters. They're fighting for the right to strike, and they're hoping to improve their salaries and their benefits. They'd also like to see a reduction in class size. The district says that its teachers are among the highest paid in San Joaquin County. Now, if a strike happens, school officials say substitutes are going to be called in, so classes will go on as scheduled. That rally is expected to be from about 3 to 5 this afternoon. Fire officials are expected to have an update on the completion of that mulching project in the King Fire burn area. Now, we reported this on Friday, but the update was delayed until today because of the weather. The goal of this project is to protect the infrastructure in that area from any more post-fire erosion. Crews had to remove hundreds of trees that were in danger of falling near campgrounds and some roads. The fire in El Dorado County last September burned almost 100,000 acres. That's the fire that destroyed dozens of homes as well. An elderly man from El Dorado County who was attacked and held hostage during a New Year's Eve home invasion has died. He will be laid to rest today. 91-year-old Gerald Holderman and his 82-year-old wife Faye were hurt when someone broke into their Diamond Springs home. They were both found injured after being held hostage for 9 hours. Holderman had been shot, his wife severely beaten. According to the family spokesperson, he never recovered from his injuries and passed away late last month. Funeral services for Holderman will be held at the Cold Springs Church in Placerville. Services start at 11 this morning. 4:35, some other top stories that we're following for you this morning. The manhunt continues in Stockton. Police say a man assaulted his own mother, leaving her in critical condition. She's fighting for her life. Let's get more now from News 10's Jeff Marr.
Well, the neighbors I spoke to are in a state of disbelief that an elderly woman's own son would hand out such a vicious attack upon her. And now police are searching for her son, saying that he is armed and considered to be a very dangerous. Meanwhile, that elderly woman, his mother, is not expected to survive her injuries. She is known to her neighbors as the sweet old lady with a walker who lives on the second floor. And as she fights for her life, Stockton police are searching for her son, Randy Francis, accused of delivering that brutal daytime assault inside her apartment. Police say Saturday afternoon, Francis went to his mother's apartment near Pacific and Eden Avenue and made his way inside along with an employee who works at the complex. Investigators say Francis then tied up that employee and then turned his attention on his mother, attacking her and then stealing the employee's truck and taking off. Now, they aren't saying exactly what he did to her, only saying that it is enough to charge him with attempted murder.
I think it's really sad that a really nice lady like that had to go out like that.
This is a very sad circumstance because who in their right mind would do this to their 86-year-old mother?
Now, I spoke off camera with the employee who was tied up, and he says he knew the victim well and said she did not deserve what happened to her. And again, Stockton police consider Francis to be extremely dangerous. They say if you do happen to spot him, to not approach him, but at least take note of what he is wearing and immediately call 911 to relay that information so that officers can locate him. For now, I'm Jeff Marr. We'll send it back to you.
A man wanted since 2013 for a Sacramento murder was arrested in Rancho Cordova over the weekend. News 10's Ty Chandler spoke with the victim's aunt, who is hoping for justice.
Avery Droughty is being held here at the Sacramento County Jail. If he is indeed a killer, then he may have just been able to get away with murder and go unnoticed by police had he not, at least according to investigators, had one drink too many. Wanted for the murder of 31-year-old Tiffany Silva since Thanksgiving 2013, Droughty caught the attention of police in Rancho Cordova Saturday morning. Officers arrested him for public intoxication and disorderly conduct, but it didn't take long for investigators to figure out they had a suspected killer in custody. Silva's aunt has waited more than 16 months for an arrest, but she says she can't believe he was hiding in plain sight all of this time.
Yeah, he was here all this time, so here. I don't know how Tiffany got in the way and got shot, I don't know. But I'm thankful. That's all I can say is I'm glad it's over. She can rest in peace in her mom.
Investigators say an argument may have led to that Thanksgiving shooting. Witnesses telling police they saw Droughty and his girlfriend, Juanette Armstrong, leaving the scene. Now, Armstrong was arrested last year and is facing charges in connection to Silva's death. As for Droughty, he is again being held here without bail and charged with murder. Police would not say what took them so long to find him. That's the latest here. I'm Ty Chandler, News 10.
Headlines from around the state now. A search is underway for two men who opened fire on two LAPD officers. This was in South LA yesterday. Police say the shooting happened just before 6. It was last night. The officers, who were in plain clothes and in an unmarked vehicle, were treated for what they are calling minor injuries. Investigators say the narcotics officers returned fire, but it's not known if the suspects were hit. No arrests have been made.
The car belonging to an LAPD officer wanted for murder has been found. It was discovered in Pomona, a suburb in East LA. Police say they found a Volkswagen Jetta owned by 27-year-old Henry Solis just a short distance from where a man was shot and killed last Friday. And police say Solis was off duty during the shooting that killed 23-year-old Salome Rodriguez. They have reason to believe that he knows investigators are looking for him. In fact, he failed to report to work on Saturday. And a man from a billion-dollar real estate family is under arrest, suspected of being behind 3 murders over 3 decades. After staying quiet for years, the HBO documentary Jinx may just have been the millionaire's undoing. In it, the filmmaker reveals a handwritten letter linking Robert Durst to one of the murder victims. FBI agents arrested Durst over the weekend in a New Orleans hotel where he had apparently checked in with a fake name and ID. This arrest is in connection to his first wife's disappearance. The Jinx documentary closed with Durst giving a possible confession for 3 murders that he was connected to.
Across America now, police in Ferguson made an arrest over the weekend in the shootings of 2 police officers. Police arrested 20-year-old Jeffrey Williams. It was late Saturday night in connection with the shooting of those 2 police officers during last week's protest. Williams is on probation for possession of stolen property. Yesterday, prosecutors say information provided by the public led to Williams' arrest.
Essentially what we've charged him with is firing shots. It's possible at this point that he was firing shots at someone other than the police, but struck the police officers. So the charge is still assault in the first degree. They're Class A felonies for striking those 2 officers.
The investigation, though, isn't over. Police want to hear from anyone who may have witnessed or recorded those shootings on their cell phone. Williams is in police custody with bond set at $300,000.
The Obama administration is dropping plans to cut the number of U.S. forces in Afghanistan by the end of the year. No final decision on the numbers has been announced, but the goal had been to cut the number of forces to 5,500. They will allow many of the almost 10,000 still there to remain there well into 2016. President Obama has had to send troops back to that region to help security forces fight ISIS militants.
Checking on your money headlines now, the Federal Reserve has been patient on when to raise short-term interest rates, but that patience may be wearing thin as a sharp rebound in the labor market is moving them closer to raising rates for the first time since 2006. Wall Street now expects the Fed to remove the word patient from its post-meeting statement when it breaks from its 2-day meeting on Wednesday. This change in language paves the way for a rate hike in June as opposed to September. We'll talk more about this coming up in our 6:30 half hour with our money man, Joe Eshelman.
Hey, the price of oil's dropping even more, rattling an already shaken industry. The price of oil dropping 10% last week, approaching its lowest level in about 6 years. And a lot of people say it's going to fall even more in the coming weeks because supplies are rising and the summer driving season is still months away. Lower crude prices could mean gas prices will slide more in the coming weeks. Some drivers, certainly not the ones that I hang out with, say they're seeing prices under $2 a gallon. On Friday, oil fell more and it closed at $44 a barrel, within 40 cents of its low for the year of $44.45 a barrel.
I think I saw 303.
Is that the lowest you saw?
Safeway in the Thomas. Yeah, it was 309, but now 303. And the drop in oil is reflected at the pump. According to AAA, the national average sits at $2.42. Again, that's nationally. That is down 3 cents from a week ago, and we're still well below this time last year when the national average was $3.51. So here in Northern California, we're paying a bit more, but prices still have dropped. Sacramento, the average $3.24. That's down 4 cents from this time last week. In Stockton, $3.26. That's 6 cents lower from last week. In Modesto, a gallon of unleaded $3.23, down 5 cents from last week.
You know, with the prices that we're paying, Melissa, it's kind of hard to muster up a woohoo for your traffic outlook, but here you go, woohoo.
Yeah, hopefully it helps you spend a little less time, maybe.
Yeah.
And especially on a Monday. It sounds a little flat. Let's talk about our outlook. You know, in the morning, typically 7:30 to 8:30 is where we see that junction of Interstate 5 and Interstate 80 in Natomas be at its peak in terms of the busiest commute. Let's look ahead towards this afternoon, though, with the Kings game tonight at 7. Around 4:30, we see a little bump up in volume, but the busiest stretch appears to continue until right around 6:30. It does taper off after that, but something to keep in mind when we do have a Kings game, 9 o'clock typically, we start to see a little bit more action Interstate 80, top of town, and then you add that construction eastbound Interstate 80 as folks leave to go home for the game. Heads up for that. So 9 to 10 typically after a Kings game, and that's the pattern on Monday nights that we see some business top of town eastbound 80. Couple ramps still closed, so watch that signage carefully with that ongoing construction. If you haven't been up there in a while and you're going to the game tonight, be prepared that construction continues.
You have to put NBA in parentheses there. Are people not remembering that the Kings are in the NBA? Is that why you put that up
You know,
there?
it's a Monday.
Oh, okay.
So anything to make it
just
easier.
checking.
All right, back to you, Sassy Pants.
Okay. Woohoo!
Woohoo! Coming up after this, don't let those clouds fool you. It appears Mother Nature will not be bringing us anyway, but she's bringing the heat.
Oh,
or the
in
warmth.
a big way, yeah. Will we ever need an umbrella again? Rob's got the forecast. That's next here on News 10 Mornings. Mr. Rob Carmark is here, still fanning himself after a warm weekend.
Okay, that's where I want to start off. It was warm here. We were breaking records all over the place. In LA, they were breaking high temperature records by 7 degrees. Now, remember, when you break a high temperature record, almost every time it's by maybe 1, 2 degrees. Usually you just end up tying it. 7 degrees, folks. This was insane what happened over the weekend. A really unprecedented March heat. 92 degrees in LA, and right here at home, it was extremely warm. We were looking at temperatures in the mid-80s for Sacramento, San Francisco. That number, by the way, is downtown San Francisco, Stockton, and Modesto. We also tied a record in South Lake Tahoe. What we're looking at this morning is, yes, there is rain in far northern California. Good news, it's light scattered showers for Redding and Red Bluff, and you can see it moves down through Clear Lake. And this plume of moisture is very wet, but there's nothing really driving it. So what we're going to see here in Sacramento at best is later on today and tonight, really thick clouds, maybe a sprinkle at best, but overall this one's going to skip over us because there's not really much driving it. So lots of wet air. It's going to be muggy, but it's not really happening for us right here at home. Temperatures in the 50s right now. Again, just to show you kind of the setup here, we have that big ridge of high pressure which has moved out to the east a little bit, so lots of the rest of the country is going to be talking about big time heat. And what we're really seeing here is just this high pulling in lots of moisture over the top of it. When you have this kind of situation, you barely get rain chances. What usually happens is that the air is so wet, if you have some elevation changes like at the coastal range or at the foothills of the Sierra, maybe at the crest of the Sierra, you can squeak out a little bit of rain. But with a setup like this, it makes it very difficult to get much of anything at all in valley spots because it's just barely coming together. The low is still disconnected way out to sea. So this one is going to be kind of a warm day for us, cloudy at times, and at best overnight we maybe get a sprinkle. I'll show you exactly how this plays out again on the computer model. Mostly just some clouds. Then as you can see, we get into the late afternoon, really thick clouds. Overnight we start to be looking at that plume of moisture really maxing out, and then maybe we could squeak out in a very isolated shower once you get to the east side of the valley in the middle of the night. But that's it, folks. We're not looking at any snow out of this one. The snow levels are way too high, and then if anything comes together by tomorrow, it's going to be through the central Sierra and areas down to the south. So we'll go ahead and skip through the rest of this week. We have another system that sort of grazes the area with clouds, maybe an isolated sprinkle up to a shower, really late Friday night to early Saturday morning, not much there. And then finally this one. Now I hate having to show you at the very end of a 10-day forecast, maybe some rain coming in here, because anytime you go all the way out, those odds really go down, even when it looks as good as that. So we'll have to go ahead and look at Monday of next week for anything somewhat significant. And remember, it's all relative. That one's more widespread showers rather than just a few drops here and there. Temperatures are going to be in the 70s for the foothills today. That snow level, folks, is no joke. It is going to be way up there. Windy for the Tahoe Basin today in the 60s. Then we're going to be looking at really high snow levels. We could even see a few thunderstorms on Wednesday. Remember, that's all connected to that moisture that really skips over the valley but could produce something for the higher elevations. 70s today, 80 by Thursday, and then we're looking at a couple time frames over the weekend and next week where we could get a few spotty showers. Melissa?
Rob, good morning. Going to start things off with a look at your Bay Area commute. Super commuters, we're off to a pretty good start this morning. No major problems or delays to get us started. Bay Bridge, things are looking great, and that kind of tells a story of our morning commute, at least towards the Bay Area. We'll continue on with the rest of our commute story, continuing to follow this fatal accident investigation. It is a bike versus car. News 10's Irene Cruz was giving us some more details there. Happened after 1:30. Looks like the car hit the cyclist. The location is Power Inn. Northbound lanes of Power Inn at Alpine remain closed. We'll certainly keep you posted. We put in a call to Sacramento Police Department for an update on when they plan to reopen lanes there. We'll keep you posted. In Natomas, visibility looking good. A reminder, ongoing construction. Let's talk about Stockton. A big rig blocking the southbound 99 at Waterloo exit. We're told the southbound lanes of the Waterloo off-ramp, those are closed. What happened is the big rig was exiting, kind of turned onto its side, and that's why it's the off-ramp from southbound 99 at Waterloo that remains closed. How about another stretch of 99? Not too shabby. Coming in northbound 99 from Elk Grove. We mentioned Interstate 5 looking good, at least into downtown Sacramento. No big delays in West Sacramento as we get things started. And we'll finish things up here. Wide perspective, 50 doing well, no issues to report. And Interstate 80 from Roseville, same thing following suit. Back to you.
All right, Melissa, thank you. Let's turn now to the life section. News 10, we believe in the power of reading in March being Women's History Month. News 10 has teamed up with the Sacramento Public Library System to showcase books written by women for children. So this week, what do we have today? It's called I Can Do That. It is by Linda White. It's about how one woman's can-do attitude that helped Wyoming become the first state to allow women to vote. Dan has a look at the book here.
Who'd have ever thought Wyoming was the first state?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I learned that this morning. So we've been doing this all month for you. Again, it is Women's Month. These books are written by women for children. We have a list of recommendations for you. Go to news10.net, click on the Reading Connects page.
Yeah, and read to your children.
Yes. Love that. Thank you.
You bet. It is 4:53.
Are you handy with the wrench?
No.
Okay, well, this won't be the job for you, but it might be the job for you at home.
Who's hiring? That's next right here on News 10 Mornings.
You're not a handyman? No? Okay. All right, let's talk jobs now. In today's Who's Hiring, Sierra Chemical Company is looking to hire a production mechanic. This is at their Stockton plant. The production mechanic would be responsible for any plant equipment maintenance. A high school diploma or GED equivalent is required. To apply, visit KarisCorporation.com. Click on the Careers tab.
Rob, are you good with wrenches? No.
You know, I'm somewhat handy.
Okay.
That's
handy-ish.
Yeah.
Handy-ish, thank you.
That's like saying
gotcha.
she's got a great personality.
All
right,
good.
sports
He's
fans out there, it is that time. March Madness has arrived, so you're probably going to see a lot of people at work not being as productive as they might usually be.
They'll be busy.
They'll be busy, yeah. The field of 68 is set. Kentucky, Villanova, Duke, and Wisconsin are the 4 number 1 seeds. Kansas, Virginia, Gonzaga, and Arizona are the number 2 seeds. Kentucky's trying to become the first undefeated national champion since Indiana did it back in 1976.
It's tough, though.
Yeah, it's real tough. The
of
first 4 games, or playing games as they like to call them, will be happening tomorrow night and Wednesday night, and we'll keep you apprised of that on News 10.
It is time.
It's
March
here.
Madness.
Yeah.
Keep it right here. Much more news ahead. We'll be right back.
The manhunt continues in Stockton. A man who allegedly attacked and severely injured his mother. We're going to be live with what you should be looking for if you'd like to help police.
Sacramento police are on the scene of a fatal crash between a car and a cyclist. The intersection now closed. A live report is straight ahead.
And let's take a look outside. What a weekend. Oof, it was warm. How warm? And what's ahead? Rob's going to let us know. The 5 o'clock edition of News 10 Morning starts right now.
This is News 10 Mornings.
Hey, good morning to you. It is Monday. It's March 16th. I'm Dan Elliott.
And I'm Kiba Arnold with Melissa Crowley. Good morning.
Good morning. Should we give it a Monday woohoo, or are we not there yet?
Oh, boy.
Too soon? Okay.
Good morning.
No, I got the thumbs down.
Rob, it was warm and a little muggy as well.
It was warm, it was muggy. I don't know if you guys have allergies, but a lot of people were letting the weather guy know, hey, this is just not right. Way too early. Yep, exactly. So it's just one of these things that's happening. It usually happens later in the year, but it's happening right now. The spring bloom is in full effect, and the wind over the weekend certainly did not help. We cooled down a little bit in places like San Francisco, Fairfield, Sacramento, all the way up through Auburn, but it was still really warm. In fact, warmer than yesterday in places like Modesto, 86 degrees. That is a new record. We've got lots more records to talk about. Dan just mentioned one to me, 92 degrees in Santa Barbara. So this is a huge, huge heat wave for the month of March. We're finally starting to move away from that, and there's a couple of different things happening in the background. We are looking at temperatures in the 50s this morning, so somewhat warm for this time of year, and this is where we're heading. We're heading for a high of 73 degrees, which is way above average, as you can see, but away from the records. It's raining right now in parts of California. Good news there. As you can see, precipitation-wise, we're deep in a hole, and I think we're going to be there through this week, but there are moments where we could be looking at a few showers drifting through the area, so let's talk about that later on the show. Melissa?
Rob, good morning, everyone. Off to on our freeways, not too bad, but did want to touch on a couple trouble spots. This is another overnight fatality accident that we had. Sacramento Police Department was on the scene. San Juan, a truck sold car into a tree here. This is in the South Natomas area. If you're waking up, headed in that direction, we're told lanes have reopened, but did want to let you know what was going on there overnight. Another overnight accident, as you heard Kiba mention at the top of the show, a car versus bicyclist. A quick update on your traffic impact. Northbound power in at Alpine. Lanes remain closed. We'll keep you posted. Sacramento Police Department on the scene there. You can follow me at Twitter at Melissa Crowley for the latest traffic issues as well. Turning our attention to Stockton, this continues lane closures where southbound 99 at the Waterloo off-ramp. This is according to the Stockton CHP. They had a big rig on its side. It's blocking the Waterloo off-ramp, but we're told not impacting northbound 99. Already seeing some slowing on a Monday. Be prepared for some delays there with the Tracy Triangle commute. Rest of our commute faring much better. 599 into downtown Sacramento. No big issues or delays, including Interstate 5. It was busy in Old Sacramento this weekend. Everything back to normal right now. Back to you.
Okay, well, we've got some breaking news at 5:03, and this is coming out of the South Sacramento area. Melissa's been mentioning this in her traffic reports. A part of Power Inn Road is closed. A bicyclist was hit and killed by a driver overnight. This was at Power Inn Road near Alpine Avenue. It happened about 1 a.m. If you're familiar with that area, it's near the Mattress Factory store. Now, officers say that the woman was driving north on Power Inn when she hit the man on the bicycle. She called 911, but the man died by the time police arrived. The northbound lane of Power Inn is expected to reopen in time for the morning commute. We'll continue to keep tabs on that. Melissa will have the updated information for us when it comes in.
Right, our Irene Cruz was on the scene there. Now we've moved her to another breaking news story that we're following for you out of El Dorado County. This is where a domestic violence call spiraled into several incidents this morning. Deputies were called out. This was a home on Oakwood Drive. It was around 2:30 this morning. They were able to safely rescue a woman. They got her out and they got her to a hospital.
Yeah, but when they went in to get the man in the home, shots were fired, and that's what resulted with the standoff. During it, deputies could actually see flames coming out of the home. As Kiba mentioned, Irene is on her way to the scene, so we should have more for you in just a short while here on News 10 Mornings. It's 5:04 happening today. Fire officials are likely to have an update for us on that mulching project in the King fire burn area. We thought we were going to get this on Friday. That's what we were reporting, but they had to delay the update because of the weather. What they're trying to do is protect the infrastructure in that area from more erosion. A lot of trees were in danger of falling near campgrounds and roads, so they pulled those trees out. That fire in El Dorado County last September scorched almost 100,000 acres and in the process destroyed more than a dozen homes.
An elderly man from El Dorado County who was attacked and held hostage. This was during a New Year's Eve home invasion. He has died. He will be laid to rest today. 91-year-old Gerald Holderman and his 82-year-old wife Faye, they were hurt when someone broke into their Diamond Springs home. They were both found injured after being held hostage for 9 hours. Holderman had been shot, his wife severely beaten. According to the family spokesperson, he never recovered from his injuries. He passed away late last month. Funeral services for Holderman will be held at the Cold Springs Church in Placerville. Services start at 11.
Some other top stories that we're following for you today. The manhunt goes on in Stockton. Police say that a man assaulted his own mother, leaving her in critical condition and fighting for her life. Stockton police are looking for 55-year-old Randy Francis. He's 5'11", 175 pounds. He was last seen in a stolen 2004 Chevy Silverado pickup truck. The license plate on that truck is 7N29539. Now, police say that Francis went to his mother's apartment near Pacific and Eden Avenue on Saturday afternoon, went inside along with an employee who works at the complex. And that's what investigators say the attack took place. Francis attacked his 86-year-old mother, stole the employee's truck, and then left. The incident left neighbors stunned.
I think it's really sad that a really nice lady like that had to go out like that.
This is a very sad circumstance because who in their right mind would do this to their 86-year-old mother?
Well, police aren't saying exactly what he did to his mother, but it's enough to charge him with attempted murder. He is considered to be armed. He's thought to have a shotgun. Police say he's highly dangerous. His mother's in critical condition and is not expected to survive.
A man wanted since 2013 for a Sacramento murder was arrested in Rancho Cordova over the weekend. Avery Drawdy had been wanted for the murder of 31-year-old Tiffany Silva since Thanksgiving 2013. Drawdy caught the attention of Rancho Cordova police on Saturday morning. That was for public intoxication, and that was before they realized he was indeed a suspected murderer. Now, Silva's aunt is hoping that justice will be served after waiting more than 16 months for an arrest.
Yeah, he was here all this time, so here. I don't know how Tiffany got in the, the way and got shot, I don't know. But I'm thankful. That's all I can say is I'm glad it's over. She can rest in peace in her mom.
Well, investigators would not say why it took so long to find Drawdy. His girlfriend, Wynette Armstrong, was arrested last year. She is also facing charges for Tiffany Silva's death.
Now some headlines from around the state, and we start in San Francisco, where the police chief says he's going to seek nothing short of termination for the officers accused of sending racist and homophobic texts. According to court documents filed last week, those texts were sent between October 2011 and June 2012. They were between officers and members of the public. The officers, who have not been identified, have since been reassigned.
A search is underway for two men who opened fire on two LAPD officers in South Los Angeles yesterday. Police say the shooting happened just before 6. The officers, who were in plain clothing and unmarked vehicle, were treated for minor injuries. Investigators say the narcotics officers returned fire, but it's not known if they actually hit the suspects. No arrests have been made. Across America now, a man from a billion-dollar real estate family is under arrest, suspected of being behind 3 murders over 3 decades. Robert Durst told his story in an HBO show that ended last night with what many say sounded like a confession. ABC's Elizabeth Herr has more on the arrest that happened in New Orleans.
Good morning. After years of staying quiet, talking to a documentary filmmaker just may have been the millionaire's undoing. Today, it is back to court for 71-year-old millionaire Robert Durst, previously investigated in 3 separate killings but never convicted of murder. Those 3 cases were profiled in the HBO series The Jinx, and his possible confession even recorded on tape.
The hell did I do? Kill them all. Of course.
FBI agents arrested Durst over the weekend inside this New Orleans hotel, where sources say Durst had checked in using a fake name and ID. The 71-year-old's first wife, Kathleen, disappeared in 1982. Then in 2000, his good friend, Susan Berman, was found murdered just as she was set to talk to police about Kathleen's disappearance. A year later, Durst admitted he killed his elderly neighbor, Morris Black, but claimed self-defense and was acquitted.
That was Elizabeth Herr reporting. Meantime, Durst maintains his innocence. Authorities say Durst was found with fake documents suggesting he may have wanted to flee the country, possibly to Cuba.
5:10, police in Ferguson made an arrest over the weekend in connection with the shootings of police officers last week. Police arresting 20-year-old Jeffrey Williams Saturday night in connection with that shooting of 2 officers during last week's protests. Williams is on probation for possession of stolen property. Yesterday, prosecutors said that information provided by the public is what led to his arrest.
Essentially what we've charged him with is firing shots. It's possible at this point that he was firing shots at someone other than the police, but struck the police officers. So the charge is still assault in the first degree. They're Class A felonies for striking those 2 officers.
Well, the investigation isn't over. Police would love to hear from anyone who may have witnessed or recorded the shootings on their phones. Williams is in police custody. His bond has been set at $300,000.
10 American healthcare workers in Africa are returning to the U.S. after one of their colleagues was infected with Ebola. This was last week. The infected worker was brought back from Sierra Leone to the National Institute of Health in Maryland. Even though none of his 10 co-workers are showing signs of the virus, they are all being brought back to the U.S. because they may have been exposed.
Reportedly, at some point, that healthcare worker fainted, and some of these people provided assistance, and they all lived in close quarters together in Sierra Leone. The reason they're being brought back now, when they're not even sick, is that way, if they do get sick, they can immediately get the best care available.
The World Health Organization estimates that current Ebola outbreak has killed more than 10,000 people. However, the number of deaths has dropped in recent months.
5:12, let's check in with Melissa Crowley. Good morning.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, everyone. We're going to pick up the traffic story in Fairfield. A taxi flew off the freeway. It might be visible, this fatal accident in the Fairfield area. If you're driving past Interstate 80, the surface streets where the taxi cab ended up and where the investigation continues, Central at Grobuck. So in Fairfield, Central at Grobuck, fatal accident involving a taxi cab there that went off the freeway. If you're traveling towards the Bay Area, 205 Tracy Triangle, look at this, we're in the red. Already a lot of volume on this Monday, so speeds Tracy Boulevard to Vasco Road below 40 miles per hour, right around 34 in some stretches. 80 and 50, no headaches. 80 from Roseville, 50 from Folsom, doing well on Interstate 5 and 99. It's a busy traffic morning and some surface streets. We'll be updating those shortly for you. Back to you.
All right, Melissa, thank you. Coming up next, it's a telltale sign of just how much rain we actually need. We know this. Right, but take a look. A major resort is now shutting down. This is pretty early due to the lack of snow.
Well, the picture tells the story.
There's no snow, right?
Hey there, good morning. Topping America's money, a long-awaited drop in gas prices.
That's right. The national average for a gallon now $2.42, 3 cents cheaper than a week ago and $1.09 below last year.
The 3-cent slip ends a 40-day streak of price hikes.
Cinderella is dominating at the box office.
The live-action fairy tale from our parent company Disney debuted with more than $70 million.
The thriller Run All Night was a distant second with $11 million. Kingsman: The Secret Service was third.
And March Madness means lots of things, especially lost productivity at the office.
One study says the upcoming tournament could mean losses as high as $1.9 billion. But it also claims office pools and watching games during business hours is actually good for morale.
I think shoe shopping during business hours is also good for morale.
Yeah, I bet.
That's America's Money. Have a great Monday.
The effects of the drought are forcing at least one major resort to shut down winter operations. Sierra Tahoe, they announced that as of today, and you can see it, look at the images there, all skiing and snowboarding operations will be shut down. This also includes tubing and snow play areas, their restaurants, rental and retail shops. They say that they did everything they could, but Mother Nature didn't hold up her end of the bargain. In a statement, Sierra says, quote, conditions around the mountain have deteriorated to the point where we can no longer deliver a product that meets our standards. Sierra hopes conditions will improve and they can reopen before the season officially ends. So when does the season officially end?
Well, I guess spring, March 21st would be one date you'd look at. Traditionally, Rob, they like to be open through Easter. Yeah, they like to be open for Easter week. Yeah,
exactly. You know, and some of the resorts, they have sort of a set closing date in place as far as staffing, permits with the National Forest Service. A lot of those are in mid-April somewhere. It kind of depends on the resort. So that's usually the traditional closing. If they can stay open longer, they will. But I just want to point out, this is not just California. You know, in some places, it's actually worse. So California, and especially especially our local area. Out west, we have the most terrain and the most resorts open across the west. Take a look at a couple places. Let's go north, right? They've got much more snow, shouldn't they? Oh, I don't know what happened there. But anyway, take a look at this. This is kind of hard to see. There's only 2 places in Oregon, Mount Bachelor, Mount Hood Meadows. There's only 1 place in Washington State to go skiing, folks, right here at White Pass. The rest of them are closed. They should be open with tons of terrain, and there are 3 places in the Pacific Northwest where you can go skiing now. We've got plenty of places still open. Get up there, frequent them. They need your business because, folks, this has been a rough year for everybody. Again, just taking a look at the snowpack, red is less than 50%. We are really struggling out west, and I just want to point out this is another big story, at least to me. Take a look at the snowpack in Arizona and portions of New Mexico. 0, 1%. This is a huge watershed where huge metro areas like Phoenix get their water to get them through their hot summer, and they don't have any snow almost at all. So they're going to be struggling with water this upcoming summer. I know it's a desert and you think, hey, aren't they always struggling with water? But they do rely on snowpack as well in some places, and they are really going to have a rough summer. We're starting off in the 50s right now. It is raining in far northern California. This is good news, folks. In Redding, Red Bluff, right in that area, they are looking at some steady light rain. The problem is that the way this is coming together is not the best. High pressure is pulling the moisture over the top. In this kind of scenario, you usually have to have some help with elevation, either being at elevation or really close by, and that's where you get your rain chances. So for us right here in the valley, once you see this line of clouds and moisture start to drift through our area in the overnight hours, we could get a sprinkle, we could get a light shower very briefly. Once you hit the east side of the valley to the lower foothills, places like Auburn could get a little bit of rain in the overnight hours, and then through the central Sierra tomorrow, we could see some scattered light rain, not necessarily snow. The snow level with this one is right around 8,500 feet. Taking a look at the rest of this week, it's really quiet. We see another system graze us late Friday night to Saturday. Then things start to get a little bit more interesting at the beginning of next week with more widespread light rain. But we are talking about rain rather than snow. Unfortunately, temperatures are just really, really warm, and they should continue to be that way all through the rest of this week. Low 70s for the foothills. Today we're looking at windy conditions up high. Could see a little bit of rain for the Tahoe Basin today. We could see thunderstorms on Wednesday, then somewhat of a quiet end of the week. We're looking at 60s and 70s for the Bay Area, mid 70s for San Joaquin Valley spots as well as Sacramento. So this is not record breaking, but this is way above average by about 10 degrees or so. We could see a little bit of rain early Saturday, and we could see a little bit of rain on Monday, but that's all I see in the 10-day planner. Melissa?
Rob, good morning. Good morning once again, everyone. Fatality accidents we've been covering on News 10 Mornings. This breaking news, northbound power in Alpine Lane remains closed. Northbound power in, according to the Sacramento Police Department. We will keep you posted. Try to avoid that area if you can. A cyclist was hit and killed at that location. In Stockton, do want to let you know about this situation where Stockton CHP investigating southbound 99 overturned big rig blocking the Waterloo off-ramp. So if you're traveling southbound 99, shouldn't impact the 99 commute, but that Waterloo off-ramp not an option right now. And in Fairfield, this investigation continues. Central at Grobuck, as we mentioned, taxi flew off the freeway off Interstate 80, and we're told a fatal accident involving that taxi cab. Rest of our roads, let's take a quick peek. So far so good here. 99 at Sheldon from south of town, off to a good start. 50 at Sunrise, no major headaches. And how are we doing for the rest of our commute from the Central Valley? Interstate 5 at March Lane, so far so good. Turning our attention to Manteca, no major problems here. Tracy, same situation, just a lot of brake lights out and about on the Tracy Triangle already. Back to you.
All right, Melissa, thank you. Turning now to the Life section at News 10. We believe in the power of reading, and with March being Women's History Month, News 10 has teamed up with the Sacramento Public Library System. We are showcasing books written by women, and they are for children. So the one that we have for you today, it's called I Can Do That by Linda White, the one that Dan's holding. This book, Dan, it's about how one woman's can-do attitude helped Wyoming, did you know this, become Wyoming to become the first state to allow women to vote. So there's the book right here, and we have a list of books for you on our website, news10.net. Once you get there, just click on the Reading Connects page. So written by women for the little ones.
Well, a lot of people are going to be doing reading, not necessarily of women's books, but of sports sheets.
Bracket time.
Yeah, it is that time. Coming up on the sports page, March Madness is officially here. We'll be right back with News 10.
And now the Bell Brothers Sports Page.
And the field of 68 is set. Kentucky, Villanova, Duke, and Wisconsin, the #1 seeds in the NCAA tournament. Kansas, Virginia, Gonzaga, and Arizona, the #2 seeds. Kentucky's trying to become the first undefeated national champion since 1976. That's when Indiana did it. They are the #1 seed overall. The first 4 games or play-in games are going to happen on Tuesday and Wednesday night, and then Thursday, the round of 64 starts and workplace productivity lessons, to say the least. Now, the Sacramento area's best chance to get the NCAA tourney bid came up short. UC Davis went into the Big West tournament, the #1 seed, but they lost to Hawaii Friday night, and then Hawaii went on and lost to UC Irvine. So UC Irvine will represent the conference. But the Aggies are going to the NIT. They will play tomorrow night against Stanford in the opening round, and Sac State made the collegeinsider.com tournament. They'll play Wednesday at Portland. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series continues its West Coast swing in Phoenix. They were in Vegas last week. Next week they'll be down in Southern California. And midway through the race, well, a little bit of a problem there. Dale Earnhardt Jr. had some tire issues. That's not good. He finished last as a result. The winner in this one, Kevin Harvick, he wins from the pole. And Elk Grove's Kyle Larson finished 10th on Sunday. He loves this 3-week West Coast stretch because he gets to be at home. In fact, he's going to be in Northern California this week. He's going to be at the Kings-Hawks game tonight. He'll sit down with Brian May for an interview at 6 from Sleep Train. And on the golf course, this young man, Jordan Spieth, wins his 2nd PGA tournament. He went 3 extra holes to beat Patrick Reed and Sean O'Hare in the sudden death playoff of the Valspar Classic, and he takes home more than $1 million. Masters is still several weeks away. That's a look at your sports page.
All right, next on News 10 Mornings, we'll have the latest on that breaking news out of Cameron Park, where a domestic violence 911 call led to a police standoff. What we know after the break. One person is dead after a bike and car collide in South Sacramento. Where it happened and what investigators are saying.
The manhunt continues in Stockton for a man who's alleged to have attacked and seriously injured his own mother. We're going to let you know what you should be looking for.
And a bizarre turn for real estate heir Robert Durst, how an HBO documentary may have led to his latest arrest.
This is News 10 Mornings.
Good morning to you on this Monday. It's March 16th. I'm Kiva.
And I'm Dan Elliott. And you did say March, not May. It felt like May over the weekend, Rob Carl, Mark. I mean, this is just unbelievable. And Saturday, I think the numbers didn't really reflect how warm it was. 84, you said, was the official high.
Right.
But with that cloud cover, it felt even warmer.
It was cloudy, it was warm, and it was the humidity. I think really the humidity is the main thing. You know, that really makes us feel so much warmer. And when it's humid, it's very difficult for humans to cool off because the air is so wet. We typically sweat. That's one of the ways that we cool off. And when it's really humid, it makes it difficult for that process to happen. So you get hot and then you stay hot. And then also there's a really slow, long cooling effect overnight. So it takes a long time to cool off overnight. That's when I cranked up the AC well after the sun went down. It just wasn't cooling down in the house. You know, it is raining in far northern California, so that is good news. It's raining in the Redding Red Bluff area, and then it's about to move into Chico, but it's really going to struggle to produce much of anything at all here in Sacramento. So I'll talk more about that later. You could see the high temps from yesterday. New record in Modesto, tying a record in Stockton into the 80s. We are seeing a little bit of some breezy conditions up high, but it is warm everywhere. We're looking at 50s in the valley and low to mid to upper 30s for the higher elevations. Stockton is clear. All areas are clear. There's no issues with fog. So today is going to be a mix of breezy conditions, sun, and more clouds as the day moves along. Overnight, we could see a few sprinkles get close to the area, but it's not going to be much. And then we have to talk about getting back to 80 degrees by later on this week. We'll do that later on. Melissa?
Rob, we're following multiple reports of several different fatal car crashes overnight. We want to show you this picture courtesy of the Sacramento Police Department. This was overnight. Lanes have reopened. However, car into a tree reported here, confirmed fatality. That's the latest. Where? In South Natoma, San Juan at Truxell. Happened overnight just after 1 o'clock. And then we have another fatal accident. Dan Akiva will be updating us in just moments about about what happened, but the traffic implications. Northbound Power Inn at Alpine, lanes remain closed there. We'll certainly keep you posted. At one point, they hope to have everything reopened by 5:30. We'll let you know. Still awaiting word from the Sacramento Police Department. Do have an update on this accident. Southbound 99 at the Waterloo off-ramp near 88, 9 a.m. when they hope to reopen that ramp. So southbound 99 is open. It's the Waterloo off-ramp that remains closed. That's that tanker that overturned on its side. A little bit of slowing nearby, perhaps folks checking out what's going on there, but lanes on 99 itself are opened. And then we still have the Surface Street intersection closed. Central at Grobick is just off 80. You might see it if you're driving through Fairfield. A taxi cab actually went off the freeway, landed at this location. Fatality accident continues to be under investigation there. An update on the rest of your commute. What can be busy later this morning, looking good. 599 from Elk Grove. No other issues. Highway 50 commuters past Sac State, so far so good. 80 from Roseville all the way over the Yolo Causeway. No problems reported now. Back to you.
Melissa, thank you. We're following two breaking news stories right now. The first one out of El Dorado County. That's where a domestic violence call spiraled into several incidents. This morning, deputies there were called out to a home. This is on Oakwood Drive. It was around 2:30. They were able to safely rescue a woman. They got her out of the home and she's in the hospital.
Yeah, but when they got her out of the home, then they went in to get the man in the home and shots were fired. A standoff resulted. During the standoff, flames were spotted coming from the home. The suspect now is in custody. The investigation is underway. Our crew should be on the scene momentarily, so we should be able to get a wrap-up from them once they arrive. Now, Kiba mentioned the other breaking news story as well. That's in the South Sacramento area, where a part of Power Inn Road is just reopened after a bicyclist was hit and killed by a driver overnight. This is a Power Inn Road near Alpine Avenue. Happened about 1 o'clock this morning near the Mattress Factory store. Officers say the woman was driving north on Power Inn when she struck the bicycle. She called 911. By the time emergency crews got there, the man had died. Now, the northbound lane of Power Inn is the one that's affected. It is expected to reopen in just a short while.
New this morning, this happened just after 1 at Truxell and San Juan Roads in Natomas, right there near Natomas High School. Police say a car was traveling northbound on Truxell when it crashed into a tree. No word yet on what caused this accident. Police cleared the scene just about 10 minutes ago.
Happening today, the two suspects from last July's Stockton bank robbery and shootout go back to court. This is a follow-up to a preliminary hearing held earlier this month. Jaime Ramos is the surviving suspect from the shootout who allegedly used a hostage as a shield. Pablo Ruvalcaba is accused of driving the car that dropped off the robbers. Two suspects and a hostage, Misty Holt-Singh, were killed that day.
The manhunt continues in Stockton for the man police say assaulted his own mother, leaving her in critical condition.
Yeah, and detectives say that she is battling this in the hospital right now. News 10's Haley Gunther joins us live. She's on the scene to tell us more. Good morning, Haley.
Good morning. Well, police believe that that suspect is armed and dangerous. They say that he has made statements that he will not let police get him into custody. Now, they suspect that he is armed with a shotgun, and they say that that search for him is still very active this morning. Stockton police say they are looking for this man. Take a look at your screen right now. That's the suspect, 55-year-old Randy Francis. He's 5'11", 175 pounds, and was last seen in a stolen 2004 Chevy Silverado pickup truck, and that license plate has a number of 7N29539. Now, police say Francis went to his mother's apartment near Pacific and Eden Avenue Saturday afternoon and asked an employee who works at the complex to let him in. Once he was inside, he allegedly tied up that employee and began beating his 86-year-old mother. Police say he then grabbed the employee's keys and took off. The incident has left all the surrounding neighbors just stunned.
I don't know, it makes me sick to my stomach, even think about it. I don't know what to make of it anymore nowadays.
That's the reaction we got from all the neighbors there. They described the victim as just a sweet woman. They said she was friendly. We want you to take a look at your screen one more time. This is the suspect, Randy Francis. He is believed to be armed with a shotgun. And as of last night, the suspect's mother was still clinging to life. We are told that her condition is not looking good, but right now she is still, once again, clinging to life. And the suspect is facing a charge, Dan and Kiba, of attempted murder. Live here in Stockton, Haley Gunther, News 10.
All right, thank you, Haley.
Let's check some other top stories we're following for you. A man wanted since 2013 for a Sacramento murder was arrested in Rancho Cordova. This happened just over the weekend. His name is Avery Droughty. He had been wanted for the murder of 31-year-old Tiffany Silva since Thanksgiving 2013. Droughty caught the attention of Rancho Cordova police Saturday morning for public intoxication. And this was before they even realized he was a suspected murderer. Investigators would not say why it took so long to find him. His girlfriend, Wynette Armstrong, was arrested last year. She is also facing charges for Tiffany Silva's death. 2 people died after their car crashed into a tree in Carmichael about 10 o'clock Sunday morning. This was at Walnut and Marconi Avenues. The car was traveling at a high rate of speed when the driver lost control and it crossed into the northbound lanes and then crashed. The victims, a 26-year-old woman from Sacramento and a man from Grass Valley. Witnesses say the crash may have been the result of a fight in the car.
I seen the driver, the passenger's hand going over across in the car, so I believe there was some type of confrontation, distraction or whatever, but the speed was too high, and that is the cause of the accident, in my opinion.
Well, investigators aren't saying if alcohol might have played a role in the crash, but they have confirmed speed was indeed a factor. A 2-alarm fire destroyed a Modesto home yesterday, killing 1 person inside. Crews were called to the home on El Pasado Drive near Riverside Parkway. It was around 6:30 yesterday morning. Firefighters saw smoke and flames when they first arrived and worked aggressively to keep the fire from reaching neighboring homes. When crews searched the house, they found a man inside who died there at the scene. 2 dogs escaped the fire. They were found on a nearby golf course. They are now with animal control. The cause of the fire and the victim's death, they are all under investigation. At 5:38 across America, and this morning an eccentric man from a billion-dollar real estate family is under arrest, suspected of being behind 3 murders over a 3-decade period. After years of staying quiet, the HBO documentary Jinx just may have been the millionaire's undoing. In it, the filmmaker reveals a handwritten letter linking Robert Durst to one of the murder victims. Durst had previously been investigated in 3 separate killings, but never convicted. FBI agents arrested him over the weekend in a New Orleans hotel where he apparently had checked in using a fake name and ID. His arrest is in connection to his first wife's disappearance.
The question is, did the police suspect him enough? And many of her friends and family members think that they could have and should have been tougher in their investigation of him.
While Durst maintains his innocence, authorities say that he was found with fake documents suggesting that he may have been planning to flee the country, possibly to Cuba. Just hours after his arrest, that Jinx documentary closed with Durst giving a possible confession for all 3 murders that he'd been connected to. Now for stories making headlines in the Sacramento Business Journal, this is part of our exclusive partnership with the publication.
SAC Business Journal headlines, sponsored by Roy's Umbrella, your complete financial advisor.
Florida Governor Rick Scott is using the recent West Coast port slowdown to lure businesses from California to the Sunshine State. In a letter to Western shippers, Scott announced last week he would be leading a trade delegation to California in April to explain how Florida's ports and other infrastructure can help their business. Scott said he would hold a business reception in Los Angeles on April 12th. A downtown Sacramento mixed-use building has sold for some pretty big bucks. Escrow closed on the 800 J Street lofts to a real estate investment firm. The 225-unit building sold for about $57 million. The property also has 20,000 square feet of first-floor retail space. As of last fall, occupancy for the residential units was 98% and 91% for the retail space.
Some money headlines for you now, and the drop in oil. The price for a barrel is still around the $44 a barrel mark. It also means a little bit of relief at the gas pump. According to AAA, the national average is $2.42 for a gallon of unleaded. That's down 3 cents from last week, and we are still well below this time last year. That's when the national average was $3.51. In Northern California, of course, we're paying a bit more, but prices have dropped as of late. In Sacramento, the average now $3.20. $3.24. That's down 4 cents from last week. Stockton, $3.26, 6 cents lower from last week. In Modesto, a gallon of unleaded is $3.23. That's down a nickel from 1 week ago.
All right, 5:41. It's time to say happy birthday if today is your special day. Woo! Yes, March 16th. Happy birthday to you. We have a celebrity birthday off the top here.
Yeah.
Who do we have? Oh, that's Shaniqua. We'll take Shaniqua first.
She's quite the celeb.
Happy birthday to you, Shaniqua. And do we have our celebrity birthday? That's Flavor Flav. Do you remember him?
Oh,
like an old school
we
rapper.
are tight. We're tight, yeah.
Flavor Flav is 56 years old. If it's your day, celebrate big today. And remember, you can always post your pictures for us on the News 10 Facebook page. We'll be right back.
Well, it's a question that's gone along with traveling for as long as we've traveled.
Okay.
What's most important? How long it takes to get to your destination, or how much you're going to have to spend?
I think it's a good combination, right? Yeah, because you don't want to be flying all day long, but you don't want to break the bank either. Let's ask News 10's Leticia Castro. All right, so you have 2 travel tools that you can help with what we need.
That's right, Dan Kiva, good morning. Flying can be such a hassle, but there are new sites helping flyers go through the endless amount of information that's available. Whether you're interested in arriving to your destination on time and using the fastest route available, or sacrificing that in order to save a little bit of money. Data guru Nate Silver, known for his forecast during the 2008 and 2012 presidential election, recently released a new airline focus feature on his 538 website. Silver and his team analyzed a total of 6 million flights, focusing on flight times in order to produce an interactive tool that gives flyers a new way to evaluate airline delay information. The 538 tool will help you figure out which airlines or even which airports offer flights that come close to what the travel time should be in ideal conditions. Taking as an example a flight from Sacramento to Phoenix, we're comparing the results based on the fastest airline for this route according to the 538 tool, which is US Airways. We're comparing it with the results provided by Google Flights, which searches through all available airlines to provide you with the best prices. A direct flight for this afternoon from Sacramento to Phoenix would cost you at least $357. This is a non-stop flight, leaving at 4:15 p.m. and arriving to Phoenix at 6:02 p.m., with a total travel time of 1 hour and 46 minutes. If we use Google Flights, we'll find the cheapest flight for this afternoon at a similar time would cost you $200. However, you would have a 1 hour delay in Los Angeles. The flight would depart at 4:46 p.m. and arrive in Phoenix at 8:51 p.m.
Wow,
so the difference,
you save some money.
yes,
there, but a
definitely.
lot longer day.
Yes, you're saving about $157 for a one-way flight, and you're saving. But then again, you have to take into consideration it's almost a 3-hour difference in your travel time. So. It's definitely
time is money. So it's
yes,
$100
exactly.
for 3 hours.
Yes, and it's $160 almost.
Okay.
So is that worth
160.
the 3 hours? But then again, there you have some tools that you can use either, if you're looking to save money or if you're looking to get to your destination on time.
So the next tool you need is to figure out how much your time is worth.
Right.
And then that would allow you to break it down.
And I think a lot of times it's going to come down to what you can afford. Maybe you can't afford that extra $167, but you can afford those 3 hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Thank you.
Well, Rob, it's not too much longer. You're going to get to fly your baby for free. And once they hit 2, you got to pay. And I learned something over the weekend. For international flights, it's even earlier.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, no, we are using the lap baby advantage a lot. And you know what? For us, it's all about time, because you cannot have a baby in airports around all day. It just turns into the longest day for everybody. Okay, what we're looking at here is the travel report. As you can see here, sun and clouds today, breezy. No issues leaving the airport, or as you would expect with this pattern, to any of the top western destinations. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the travel forecast over the next couple of days, just in case you're flying anywhere across the country. Snow in the Pacific Northwest for Montana, rain elsewhere. As you can see, we've got more rain moving through parts of the country. A couple big national stories. Snow is melting everywhere across the Ohio River Valley, and they're looking at widespread flooding. And Boston, yep, they did it. They set a new record. All-time snowiest winter is this winter, with a little bit more than 108 inches of snow this season. Here's how the rain is compared to normal. As you can see, we are way below average for rainfall, and we need something big to make that up. So this is where we look for a strong Pineapple Express connection. We need deep moisture. We need a nice big low to work with it and send it streaming across the area for days on end. I don't see it. There's moments where we start to get some moisture getting close to us, and we'll talk about those rain chances. But as far as something big, a miracle March, maybe something in April, I just don't see it for now. Mid-50s right now for lower elevations temperature-wise, and we are looking at 30s for the higher elevations. Here's what's happening. Yes, it's raining right now in far northern California. Redding, Red Bluff, and then almost into Chico right now is seeing some light rain. That line is going to move through our area in the overnight hours, but it's mostly clouds up to a sprinkle, and then maybe early in the morning tomorrow. So basically, while you're sleeping tonight, we could see that flare up to maybe an isolated light shower once you see that transition from the valley floor into the lower foothills. So places like Auburn could be looking at a little bit of light rain by early tomorrow morning. Let's skip ahead to the next one. The next one I see in the pipeline, we could get grazed by something Friday into early Saturday, mostly clouds, maybe a sprinkle. And then Monday of next week looks more significant, but anything that I'm looking at tends to be warm. It's very brief with just a little bit of rain potential, and most of that is for higher elevations to the east, to the north, and also off to the west of Sacramento. It's tough to get anything at all in valley spots over the next 10 days. We're looking at low 70s for the foothill spots. Here's the rain chances stacking up for the Tahoe Basin. Nothing today, and then by early tomorrow morning we could be looking at a few light showers here and there. Notice the snow level is 8,500 feet. We could see a few isolated thunderstorms on Wednesday, but no significant snow is expected over the next 5 days for the Tahoe Basin. And then we are looking at temperatures in the 70s today. We're going to have moments where it's going to be really, really warm, folks. We're looking at low 70s today, mid to upper 70s tomorrow, and on Wednesday, close to 80 degrees on Thursday. Then there's those two chances where we could be looking at a little bit of rain getting into the area on Saturday and also on Monday, but nothing of any sort of major significance. Melissa.
Good morning, Rob. Good morning, everyone. At 5:51, we're going to talk about our super commute, putting it in the spotlight for you again. It is busy over the Tracy Triangle right now. No major accidents, though, at least on 205 or 580. How about the Bay Bridge, Interstate 80 behind me? Things looking pretty good here. Before you get there, though, as we've been following for you, Interstate 80 just off the freeway in the Fairfield area, central at Grobeck. Watch reports of a taxi cab that has gone off the freeway there. And we are following a couple other trouble spots. This fatality accident, northbound power in Alpine remains closed. Sacramento Police Department on the scene there. This one was a bicyclist versus a car. Another fatality accident continuing to follow for you. San Juan at Truxell. All the lanes have since reopened. 9 a.m. is when they hope to reopen the Waterloo on and off ramps to southbound 99. We do have an update. It's a non-injury accident. CHP continues their investigation here. We understand the big rig was carrying oranges at the time, so heads up for that. So an alternative for you in the meantime, probably Fremont to get you around that Waterloo closure. Bay Area traffic, as we mentioned, we showed you the Bay Bridge. This investigation continues, and we're told crews are on the scene. Active investigation of that taxi cab off the freeway there. Finishing things up here in the Central Valley, 120 looking good, Manteca Bypass. No issues report on 5 or 99. When you're in your car, News Radio KFBK will keep you posted on the latest weather and traffic. Well, it's Monday, still ahead. It might not be your favorite day, so how about a good way to improve it? Free ice cream. Sounds intriguing? We're going to tell you where to get it when we come back.